we're blessed with a great array of authors today, and it's always a good day to talk about literature, my grandmother would say. And it's always a great day to talk about the creative process and the attempt to take real life and to transform it into something that can touch human beings. I've just come over from the funeral services for James Allen McPherson, Pulitzer Prize winning member of the University of Iowa Writers Workshop faculty who passed away recently. And as I was sharing with Louis, it's befitting that you would commemorate someone by not just celebrating their life by listening to others talk about their life, but by contemplating the activity that they committed their entire existence to. The thing that they spent not only their creative energy on, but also their instructional energy on. And so what we want to do today is to remind ourselves that McPherson is no doubt somewhere looking down and smiling at the thought that this practice is still being honored, even as he's transitioned to a different state. So I want to give these authors an opportunity to introduce themselves. So take a minute to tell the audience who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about how you began contemplating authorship as a possibility for your life. You know, like why is it that you picked up the pen in the first place? What is it that made it attractive to you? So we'll start on the end and go in alphabetical order with Eliza.
Hi, my name is Eliza David. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois, but I've been a resident of Iowa City for 16 years. I work full-time, I have a full-time family, so finding time to write can be challenging, but I guess I started writing probably when I was younger. My genre is romance, and what compelled me to begin writing as an adult was, being a reader, an avid reader of romance. I really didn't see women like myself reflected in the pages, so it was really important for me to write my first book, The Cougarette, which is the first book of a 6-book series, which focuses on a 40-something African-American woman who is going through divorce and ends up dating a man 18 years younger than her, and looking into some of the funny, more sensual sides of women of color. So that was what made me start writing.
I'm Gloria Dixon. I was born in the rural area of Van Duzer, Missouri, and I currently reside in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm a CPA and a financial consultant. I have about 20 years of auditing experience in corporate America. So I do independent consulting, and now I'm an independent writer. Basically, my bachelor's degree is in accounting and business, and I have a master's degree in organizational management. I am thrilled to be talking to you about my first book that I wrote, nonfiction, because my background is in business writing. I mean, I used to write audit reports, so now it's great to be able to put a pen to paper and write what I want to write. So based on my first novel, it is a really a fantastic resource for anyone that has lost a loved one. And the catalyst for me writing this first book was because I lost my husband to leukemia. So you'll get a chance to read about everything that I did after he died, and most importantly, the key things that we put in place before he died, that made it so easy for me to get through the process. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Gorens. I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, born and raised in Iowa. I know a lot about Iowa. I started my first book. My first book is If You've Ever Been to a Welcome due to tragedy. And when I say tragedy, my husband died of cancer. And he was the coach at the University of Iowa, track coach for 23 years. And during the process, there's some crazy things that took place. And raising 4 kids and losing my husband and going through emotional problems, I decided one year just to sit down at a computer and release all this anger and stress that I was going through after losing a spouse. And especially when I had to test my own faith because I was angry. As I started writing the book, it definitely relieved some stress. Not only dealing with 4 children that is my life, but running around the house, especially my young girls at the time, and writing this book and helping me to design the book and keep focused and help me be strong. But I am now working on my master's, and I thank God for that. My youngest daughter back there just finished high school a whole year early, be going to college. So now I have a lot of relief, a lot of stress. I mean, to continue to write and continue to travel. I have been traveling, doing book signings, and this is my first time coming back to Iowa. And it's been hard for me to come to the Iowa City area because this is where a lot of the tragedy happened, and this is where he passed away. So, to say this, I want you guys to look at my book, and please read the little inserts. I have white cards back there on the table. And I'm not going to tell you so much about the book because I don't want to give it away. But the inserts, when you open it up, in those cards you can get, it will tell you a little bit about the book, and you can ask me questions about this book. And also, I meant to say, I'm going to get my master's in business administration. So, and thank you, audience, and thank you guys for being here to support us 3 authors. Appreciate it.
As Rebecca said, first of all, thanks for showing up. Thanks for being interested. Thanks for caring. Thanks for spending time. See, quite often, probably hear me say it a lot. What people choose to do with their time tells you a lot, and you should never take for granted when people choose to spend time with you. As we think about the panel and the panelists, you've heard the range of backgrounds represented by the individuals who are up here. One thing that is striking among a cohort of people who have published books, right, which separates you immediately. I did my research on a group of writers, African-American writers, from 1950 to 1959. In the African-American literary tradition, from 1850 to about 1949, 100 novels were written, sum total, right? 1850 to 1949, you're talking about 100 novels written by Black people in this country, period. So for 100 years, you had roughly about 1 book a year that Black people were writing. From 1950 to 1960, 112 books were written by Black people, just in the decade of the 50s alone. And what I'm trying to suggest to you is that the appetite for literary expression was there, right? That people had stories that they wanted to tell. They had a desire to share their experiences with others, but for 100 years, the opportunities to, first of all, get the story written down. Second of all, get the story published. Didn't exist, right? So what you have here reflected in the 3 individuals on this panel is a continuation of that hunger for sharing that began to emerge and began to have an outlet for fruition in the post-World War II moment. Right? So right around 1945, we began to see an apparatus come into place, and certainly by 1950, with the earliest kindlings of a publishing revolution as far as Black authors were concerned. And The context that I want to establish for the conversation has to do with that broad understanding of the African American literary tradition. And you've heard it individually. We didn't choreograph this. There wasn't a precursor moment where we sat down and said, oh, I know exactly what they're going to say. But without even talking about it, their stories dovetail in very aggressive ways with some of the fundamental desires that manifest themselves from the very beginning of the African American literary tradition. So going all the way back to the 18th century when Lucy Terry in the 1700s writes Bard's Fight, one of the first published pieces of literature by African Americans. What sits at the center of it is a twofold realization. One, Lucy Terry doesn't write for a living. Writing is not her job. That's not the way she earns the money that she lives off of. And unbeknownst, we see echoed already. That's not the way that these sisters earn their living. Accountancy, studying business administration, operating within complicated realities. And that's one of the things I want you to think about. What does it mean for writing to be an add-on vocation? Not your central vocation, not your money-making vocation, not the way that you make your living in this world, but you see it as an add-on.